From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBICD Primetime Capper. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I hope you are feeling the same. And it is time for the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles. And it's Friday, baby. And you know what? It is that time. And let's go ahead and jump into it. Last night, Thursday night football, Lions dominate the Packers 34-20. Are they amongst the best in the NFC yet? That's a good question. Pretty much right now, I would say yes, because they're number one in their division. They're 3-1 in the NFC North at this point. They've been able to dominate in 2 out of their 4 games as well, too. And, well, we could say 3 out of their 4 games in reality because let's keep it real. It was sort of a dominant effort against the Chiefs. Even though it was a 1-point win, they controlled that game. They really controlled every aspect about that game as well, too. And they had a little moment in the second quarter where, they got, kind of tricked and, it looked like it was going to go bad for them, but they utterly dominated that second half. And that was absolutely tremendous. And since that point on, everybody has had a great amount of respect for this Lions team. The Lions last night, they were impressive. They wanted to win this game. They really had the attitude of winning this game immediately. As soon as the game started, it was just absolutely epic the way that they came about their business to defeat an arch rival in the Packers, a team that they vehemently hate. You know what I mean? Like, they really don't like the Packers, and this has been going on since 1933. So that was absolutely tremendous for this team in a growth situation because it was their 4th win in a row against the Packers as well, and their 3rd win in a row at Lambeau as well, too. So that was huge for them. And this is big because they haven't had it like this where they've won 4 in a row against the Packers since like 50, 60 years ago. So they've crossed that. They've hopped over that obstacle. Okay. It's the little things that you have to do to get yourself to the level you want to be on. And they had a great coach. They had a great speech from their coach last night as well, too. And Campbell was very, adamant about just doing everything the right way, playing great defense and then having an offensive line that dominates to where you can be very flexible. You can run, you can pass, you can do a lot of things. But I think the biggest thing last night was this. It was David Montgomery, the man who's pictured right there. And David Montgomery had a huge game last night. They gave him the ball 32 times. He scored 3 touchdowns. He got 121 yards on the ground. That's an old school running back performance right there. And I know a lot of people were very adamant about Jahmyr Gibbs getting some playing time last night, but he did pretty well. He was productive last night. On 8 touches, he had 40 yards. That's a 5-yard average a clip. And then he also had 4 catches last night that gave him 11 yards on that. I know it doesn't look great in the stat book, but it helped them move the ball. It helped them continue drives, and that's what it's all about. And people have to understand he is a rookie, so they're easing him into a workload. That's the whole thing. And I know a lot of people are getting frustrated about it, but they have David Montgomery here for a reason. And this is how it works in today's NFL. This is why they don't want to pay the running backs, because when you have a running back getting 30 carries and this is the second game it's happened, usually by the time you get to week 7 or 8, that guy is going to be pretty banged up. So then you have to go ahead and have somebody who's a little bit fresh. So they're looking at them in a racehorse type of sense where, hey, this horse got the hot hand. We're going to roll with him. And then when things start getting a little murky in the situation, we'll go ahead and we'll ease the backup in, because really there is no such thing as a starting running back on this team. It's really about who has the hot hand. And right now, David Montgomery has the hot hand, and he's the veteran as well, too. So you don't want to waste your rookie at this point when you know that he's going to be able to help you in November, December, and January because he's fresh and he's healthy. And that's exactly where you want a speedy rookie running back to be, because that's when those games right there are the most important games of the year. Every game is important, but the first month is really almost a throwaway in a sense as well, too. Let's keep it real. We've seen teams start off 3-1, wind up finishing the season 6-11, 6-10, 7-9. You have to keep the consistency. And that's one thing that Detroit has to learn. And they did very well last night. I'm excited for them. I think that the NFL is a much better place when you have a good Detroit Lions team, because they have one of the better fan bases in the NFL as well, too, that truly show up for their team when they are good. And they deserve to have a winner. It's been a long time. And when they talk about the last time they won the division, I was around for that. The Lions were a must-see TV team because they had Barry Sanders, but they had more than just Barry Sanders. They had Herman Moore, Brett Perryman. They also had Rodney Peete as well, too, who was a great quarterback. They also had Wayne Fontes, who was a fun coach. So there's a lot of things that the Lions are bringing back to the forefront for me. And I know that that's a good thing when you have the team that hosts the morning Thanksgiving game being a good team, because that's what you want them to be. So it doesn't have to be a doormat game like it's been for the last 20 years. So with that will wrap it up on the Lions and that great effort that they had. They can celebrate for a few days, and then they will have to get back to business, and they have the Panthers next week, and we'll be reviewing that game Tuesday on the NFL Bet Exchange. So for now, congratulations to the Detroit Lions. Congratulations to the Detroit Lion fan base. Their team is now 3-1 and atop of the NFC North. All right, so we move forward, and let's go ahead and jump into some NBA news. And I couldn't get into it yesterday because we were doing college football, but I got time today. So pretty much here we are. Jrue Holiday on the move again. Should this be a top priority for the Clippers via trade? Jrue Holiday went to Campbell Hall High School, and Campbell Hall High School is in Los Angeles. It's in North Hollywood. And if you guys know, Bryce James just transferred out of that school. And when Jrue went there with his twin brother, they won the state championship 3 years in a row. But they were a small school that played in a small division at the time. I know, because I'm a Cali kid and I'm a SoCal kid. So I was around for when Campbell Hall became a really good team, because it was a Pasadena guy that made them a pretty good team. Shout out to Joe Ford Sr. But now you fast forward to today, Jrue Holiday has become one of the more prominent defensive guards in the league, great two-way guard as well, too, and a ultimate leader. And he also is a world champion. And this is something that is really hard to come by in the NBA right now. And the Clippers really need a guy like this. The Clippers have been, for all these years, bringing in superstars that are on the cusp of wanting to win a championship, to put them with a star that they probably drafted, they probably built up, things of that nature. It's been like this the last 15 years. I'm just going off of the times when Sam Cassell was here, Blake Griffin, when they picked up Chris Paul. The Clippers have been a successful team since that point. They've been a good team. They've been a great team. And they have not won any championships. They went to one conference final in this tenure. But what does it take to get over the top? They brought in Kawhi Leonard. That was a huge move, because Kawhi Leonard made them an automatic championship contender. Let's keep it real. Then they bring in Paul George as well, too. So then now you feel like you have the ultimate duo of two-way players who are at the top of their game, and they're considered top 10 players in the NBA, period. Then you have to deal with the fact that these guys are hurt a lot. And so it's been a struggle for the Clippers because the Clippers are probably the best mediocre team in the NBA because they can win enough games to make it to the playoffs. But when they get to the playoffs, all their injuries, all their issues arise. And it's been a burden of bad luck for this team, straight up. And it just seems like they get snake bitten in the playoffs. When you bring in a guy like Jrue Holiday, you won't have to worry about being snake bitten in the playoffs anymore. You match him up with a guy like, you put him in a lineup with a guy like Westbrook and with Kawhi and George healthy. This is going to be something beautiful. Then you throw in somebody like Zubac in the situation at center, and they will be the best team in the West, in my opinion, because they'll have everything going for themselves on both ends of the floor. They already probably have the deepest roster in the league when it comes to guys that you can move in and out of the lineup. The Clippers have done an excellent job building a basketball team, but they're missing that key piece, and it's a champion like Jrue Holiday. It's a leader like Jrue Holiday. It's a hometown kid like Jrue Holiday. And he meshes so well with Paul George and with Russell Westbrook and with Kawhi Leonard. But knowing how this situation works, it can't be that perfect for the Clippers. I would think that Russell Westbrook will probably be one of the assets that they have to move to bring Jrue Holiday. And I totally feel that the best move right now is Jrue Holiday to the Clippers. So if you have to get rid of Russell to get Jrue, you got to do it because he's going to give you exactly what you need to unlock the next level in the game. It's that simple. But I would love to see them actually keep Russ because you don't want to get your situation affected in Portland. We're rebuilding this team around Anthony Simmons and DeAndre Ayton. Straight up. That's the core situation. And then you got Scoot there, the young rookie that has the potential to be a great player with this team. And so we'll get to that on our next segment. But to wrap this one up right here, the Clippers have to make a splash like they've done before. And it's not that hard to do because they have key pieces that can be moved to bring Jrue Holiday in to make sure this deal works as quickly as possible. But in reality, you know that as a Western Conference team, you don't want somebody like this to get down to a team like the Clippers. So you'll try your hardest to make sure that you're getting him to the Eastern Conference. And I think if they don't make a deal happen with the Clippers, who are very, very adamant about bringing him, I think that Philadelphia sneaks back into the room and they figure out a way to make this deal happen and get Harden off of their books because Harden doesn't want to be there. And then you bring Jrue Holiday back, a guy who was actually a part of the beginning of the winning in with the 76ers. A lot of people forget that, but Jrue Holiday was a member of the 76ers and was an all-star with the 76ers as well too. So it would be a great homecoming for him as well, going to the 76ers. So this is a wanted man in the NBA right now, and whoever he goes to, he's going to make that much better. But I feel like if the Clippers really, really are into winning championships or want to actually win championships and really, cash that check that Ballmer keeps writing, then they'll go ahead and they will do whatever it takes to bring Jrue Holiday to the Los Angeles Clippers. It's that simple. So with that, let's move on to our next segment. We're not leaving the NBA. We're about to jump into DeAndre Ayton. Could be the best acquisition in this monster trade, in my opinion. And, I'm kind of biased. I'm a big man guy and all that good stuff. But I feel like DeAndre Ayton is really in his element right now. He's really in his prime right now. And he was held up in Phoenix because Phoenix has a different idea. Phoenix is a team that you got guys who come down court, they're going to shoot their shot, They hope the big man rebounds it, but they think they're going to make it every single time anyway. They stopped structuring plays around him. They started making him be more of a liability in games because he's the only one playing defense. He's the only one trying to rebound. He's the only one doing anything. And then after a while, you lose your motivation because you have everybody who's doing absolutely nothing and you're doing everything. And then when you can't do it, it's your fault that we're losing now. And that's not the case. And after a while, you'll start getting frustrated with that. And in Ayton's situation, Ayton went to high school in Arizona. He went to the University of Arizona in Tucson. And he is an Arizona State kid. Like, he's there because he is from the islands. He is from Barbados or whatever. He's from the islands. He's from over there. But still, he's a kid they brought over when he was in high school because they saw him as a elite prospect who could possibly get to the next level, and he did. And he hasn't even played basketball that long. He's in the Tim Duncan category of things when it comes down to your experience in basketball, and he's gotten that good. At one point, he was considered to be the Pac-12 Player of the Year when in his 1 year there. He was a auto number one pick. All this is for a reason because the guy can play the game of basketball on both ends of the floor, and he's 7'1", and this is very tough to really be able to have and coach because, freaks of nature, and he's one of them. And I totally feel that when it comes down to this deal right here, the Blazers did the right thing for their franchise for the long term, not for, a short-term situation chasing the championship. No, they did this for the long term because when you look at their situation, if Anthony Simons can still, keep improving who he is as a player because he's an absolute monster that they don't talk enough about, but now they will because Dame's not there. And then you have Scoot Henderson who's projected to be better than Dame. I'm not going to say he's going to be better than Dame, but they're projecting him to be better than Dame. And then you have now DeAndre Ayton as your veteran leader, and he's been to the finals before. He's been in the playoffs the last 3 or 4 years as well too. So this gives you a guy who's ready to lead your team into their next era of futility. And I think that everything is making too much sense for the Blazers moving forward. And the Blazers already trying to get off Jrue Holiday to get themselves some more assets to keep building this team is absolutely brilliant. And they'll get those assets. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, this team will probably be the 7th or 8th seed in the playoffs this year. Okay? They're not going to be as bad as they were last season. They started off really well last season, and then things just fell apart because guys got too selfish. And nobody wants to admit that part. Nobody wants to admit that part. And I felt like there was a little bit of a silent jealousy when other guys were getting off without Dame there, and he had to run back and make sure he solidified his spot. And the Blazers even noticed that. That's why they were so quick to say, let's just get him out of here. Even when he said, "Oh, I'll take the trade," they were going to trade you anyway. They were going to make you agree upon it. They're going to make your agent agree upon it. So with that, I truly do feel what you have to do right now is you have to take the over wins with the Blazers, and you have to make that bet that they make the playoffs this year as well too. And I feel like DeAndre Ayton could possibly be, with some motivation this year, Defensive Player of the Year. That's a good goal to try to obtain this season. Try to be first team, try to be all NBA as well too, because he has the access to do it now. He's not playing with a bunch of guys who have to get their numbers. He's playing with guys that want to win basketball games and just do it in any way, fashion, or form. So with that, that's going to be a wrap on my segment for DeAndre Ayton being the best acquisition in this trade, in my opinion. It's my opinion. It's not anybody else's. It's mine. Okay. So we move forward. Let's go ahead and talk about the college football game of the night, college football Friday game of the night. We got 4 games tonight, but this is the game that matters a lot. It's the number 10 Utah Utes going against the number 19 Oregon State Beavers. And this is going to be a really, really fun game because you have two of the better defensive teams in the conference going at it. And we all know that Utah has their issues right now because their quarterback is not healthy and their backup quarterback is a little limited because last week UCLA literally lost because they didn't get anything going until the fourth quarter. They had a bunch of bonehead turnovers, a bunch of bonehead mistakes in the game, and Utah took advantage of all of that. And Utah actually, crazy thing was Utah took a pick six to the house, and then they had one really successful drive, and they were able to beat UCLA 14-7. So this team has figured out how to win the ugly games for years, and they were at home. That was probably a help as well, too, because I'm going to keep it real. If they played that game at the Rose Bowl, they probably would have lost because the momentum of the game was always in their favor because their crowd was really loud that day. But if they would have played them at the Rose Bowl, it would have been a reverse situation. Now, I feel UCLA would have been able to dominate in that game because they always dominate Utah at the Rose Bowl. But we are focused on this game right here. Oregon State got themselves a big win last week in the same type of situation, in a ranked game situation where they went against a now actually they lost last week. I'm very sorry about that, and that's why I need to switch this up real quick. I'm sorry, but they did lose last week. I'm sorry about that because they lost to Washington State. They were the number 14 team in the nation last week, and now this week they're number 19. But it's okay because you had a Washington State team in Pullman who was pumped up, ready to roll, and it was just a tough game. And you wanted Oregon State to be a lot better, but hey, it is what it is at the end of the day. They knew what they were up against. It was a tough game, and I truly feel that this game right here will wind up being a much, much better game for Oregon State. But at the same time, too, I know that Utah is going to really compete in this game as well, too. So this is going to be one of our better games of the weekend, straight up. And the way that I'm looking at this one right now, I've already released the bets list for each side, mid, and power. And how I'm looking at this game right here, I'm going to go ahead and the way I shape this one up, I'm going to take the Utes with the money line. The Utes money line is plus 135. It's jumped up to about plus 150 by now, 160 in that accord, but I'm going to still stay on this plus 135 situation with Utah. I feel like they get another good win over Oregon State just because their defense is that much better than the Beavers defense. But all in all, it's going to be one of the best games of the weekend, one of the best games in the Pac-12 all year. And I look forward to it. I can't wait to watch this game. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take our first commercial break. And when I get back, we're going to jump into a whole lot of baseball. So be ready for that. And this is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the PrimeTime Angles with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Cappers.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we're back with the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper. Let's go ahead and jump into our MLB. And up first, let's talk about them Dodgers. Final weekend of the season. Blue Crew Daily. Dodgers leave Denver with the split. Start final series of regular season at Giants. Yeah, the Dodgers got absolutely shellacked last night. 14-5. They just were, it was just ugly last night. Let's keep it real. That game was bad. But the Dodgers ain't worried about it. You know, this whole weekend is about winning 100 games. Maybe. You know, it's not that big of a deal. And I said when we did 30 teams in 30 days, last year we had about 6 teams win 100 games. This year we will probably have 2 if the Dodgers don't win 2 out of 3 this weekend. It's going to be the Braves and the Orioles. And the Orioles have now turned into the favorite to win the AL pennant. Let's keep it real. They seem to be the ones, but they may not have the pitching. But let's stay right here on what this is. The Dodgers and Giants, this is the final series for both teams in the regular season, but the Dodgers move on to the playoffs. The Giants were eliminated the other night. This is a very, it's a very under the radar series. Not much to it. The Dodgers are playing to try to win 100 games. The Giants are trying to stop the Dodgers from winning 100 games. That's kind of like the motivation for both teams coming into the series this weekend. But the Giants will probably say this season was utterly disappointing because at one point they were good enough to be in the playoffs, and then at another point they just were out the playoffs. And this is pretty much how their season went. They were very inconsistent, and they may want to finish their season on a consistent effort so then they can take that momentum into spring training, Arizona, all that good stuff. The Dodgers want to win this series to keep their motivation going, their momentum going, because it shows that they're not slacking at all. They're jumping into these series, they're taking these series seriously, and they're trying to win these series. And I know how the Dodgers operate. It's the Giants. Every time they see the Giants, they want to sweep the Giants. And every time the Giants see the Dodgers, they want to sweep the Dodgers. So it doesn't really matter what the records truly are. They're going to play because this is the Giants and the Dodgers, one of the oldest rivalries in all of sports, not just baseball. So this should be a very, very fun matchup this weekend. Tonight, it looks like this game should go over. We got Lance Lynn on the mound. He's going against some call-up pitcher that the Giants got, and I think this one will wind up going over tonight. So that's where I'm going with this one. Blue Crew Daily. It won't be our last one of the year, but next week with the Dodgers being the 2 seed, they'll have the week off pretty much until the weekend, and that's when they'll start their series, and they'll possibly start their series against either Milwaukee or the team that's to be determined. And most likely, if we started it today, it would be the Marlins. And that would be kind of crazy if the Marlins were able to actually get themselves in position to do that, to play the Dodgers. You know what I mean? But we'll see. And then you got the Diamondbacks and Cubs there as well, too. And the Dodgers, as I said on Mike's show yesterday, the Dodgers might want to avoid the Cubs. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But that's going to be Blue Crew Daily, the final regular season weekend of the year. All right. And we'll go ahead and we'll reveal our final numbers for the MLB futures as well, too. It's going to be very interesting, guys. So with that, let's move forward and jump into our next topic, and that's going to be this. This is going to be MLB Closing Weekend. We got a bunch of games going on this weekend. We got some good rivalry games. Then we got some really important series that have to do with teams chasing the playoffs. And right now, you could say we have 6, but really we have 5. You know what I mean? 5. Because, the Reds need a miracle this weekend. They truly do. I'm not going to act like they don't. They truly do need a miracle this weekend. And, I'm looking at other teams as well, too. Mariners don't need a miracle this weekend. They just need to win all their games. Blue Jays are really sucking wind right now. It's a crazy weekend that's about to arise, and we don't know who's going to be that team that's going to be the choker, and we don't know who's that team that's going to come out of the claws of elimination and find themselves in the playoffs Monday morning. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the first game. That's going to be the Marlins and the Pirates. The Marlins coming into this game 82-76, while the Pirates are right now 75-84. So pretty much with that, we have ourselves a very fun matchup coming up, and I got to switch that. Should be them, but this is a game that I truly do feel that the Marlins will try to walk in there and just straight up dominate. You know what I mean? Because they want to send a message and send that message very early in the series that they are determined to make the playoffs at this point right now. And I truly feel that with the way that it sets up tonight, they will be in that category. They will be good enough tonight to win this game by 2 or more runs. I love the plus 140 in this spot. They also have the better pitcher on the mound here as well. Actually, we don't know who the pitchers are going to be because they're going to announce that in a few hours. But I would say if we don't know who the pitchers are going to be, I feel like I can trust the Marlins bats a little bit more because I think that the Pirates are telling us that they're going to be doing all bullpen today. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. Let's go ahead and jump into our next game, which is going to be this one. It's going to be the Blue Jays and the Rays. And the Rays coming in here 97-62. And the Blue Jays are 88-71. And I was kind of clowning with the Rays. Like, they won their first 13 games in a row, and everybody said that they'll be at 100 games, and right now they're at 97. So they need to sweep this weekend to actually win 100 games. But all in all, tremendous season for this team, but it's a really funny situation that they started off with 13 wins, and everybody pretty much handed them the AL East, and then out of nowhere, the Orioles just became the most dominant team in the American League after the June 1st. And it's been absolutely incredible. And they had one of the funner races here to try to win a division. Nobody talked about it, but the Orioles were ahead for so long. The Orioles been ahead for the last 2.5 months that it was always the Orioles were always the story, but the Rays were always there trying to win the division. So it was an intense race. It really came down to that absolute end. And right now the Rays are sitting pretty. They're in the playoffs right now. The Jays, not the same situation. The Jays actually truly do need to win at least 2 out of 3 games this weekend. Mike said he thinks they only need 1. I think they need 2, just to make sure. You know what I mean? Because all in all, every single West team that's vying for the West Championship this weekend and for the final wild card spot can actually get in if the Blue Jays get swept this weekend. That's absolutely nuts. And that means a whole lot of different scenarios. You got to have the Mariners actually sweep as well too. And then you have to have the Astros win their series, and then you have to have the Rangers pretty much would get in by default because they have the tiebreaker over the Blue Jays. So it's just an absolute just fun fest going on here. But tonight, the way I see this game shaping up, I like the scoreboard. I'm going to watch the scoreboard tonight, and I'm going to go ahead and take the under 8 in this spot, and we go from there. All right, so we have our next game coming up, and that's going to be the Cubs and the Brewers. The Cubs coming into this game 82-77. The Brewers, the NL Central champions at 90-69. And you know what? They sitting pretty this weekend. The Cubs are in here last gasp, last chance to go ahead and lock down this playoff spot like they could have done a week ago. But they just have been some consistent losers this week, and that's why we're here. The Cubs really are breathing hard. You know what I mean? They are gasping for air right now because they thought they was good at the stop of the week that, we'll win a few games, we're in. They swept Colorado. They come back around Tuesday and get swept by Atlanta. And Atlanta didn't even need to win the series. They just blew 2 games in a row in the final inning. And then yesterday, they just fell short. Now they have to deal with Milwaukee, but luckily for them is Milwaukee's resting everybody this weekend because they got themselves a playoff game coming up on Tuesday. They have an idea who they're possibly playing. In a sense, it could be the Cubs. And that's what's pretty fun about this series this weekend is that the Cubs could come in here and sweep the Brewers this weekend, and then they'll have to see them Tuesday. So they're not even going to probably leave Milwaukee if they wind up, getting into the playoffs this weekend. But the Brewers would love to just send their rival home as well, too. Let's keep it real. They would love to send a team home that literally becomes a home game for them whenever they come to town. So that would be absolutely epic if the Brewers were to send the Cubs home. But baseball ratings need the Cubs, okay? They need the Cubs, they need the Dodgers, and now I would throw the Orioles in there because they will represent the Eastern market, the Phillies, okay? And then, also you got to get one of these Texas teams in there. We all know that there's teams that are must-see TV. They are TV pleasers, all that good stuff, and the Cubs are one of them. But tonight in this game, the way that I see this one setting up, I see the Cubs having a good night tonight. So I have this one set up to the Cubbies actually winning this game as a minus 105. And this is pretty much split down the middle. This is pretty much a pick 'em. So with that, let's move forward and jump into our next game, which is going to be a interleague game between the Astros and the Diamondbacks. The Astros probably have the most to lose this weekend. They're 87 and 72. The Diamondbacks are 84 and 75. Okay. The Diamondbacks are very close to possibly clinching their spot, but they're in a deadlock. They're in a jam. This is one of the greatest finishes to a season I've seen in a long time. And, when you got 4 teams vying for the final spot, it's just incredible. It's incredible. And you have a Diamondbacks team that's up a game and a half. I will say this. If the Diamondbacks are able to get their win today, the Diamondbacks should be able to seal that second wild card spot. I'm looking at how the situation is working. If they were to win today, the Cubs and Miami, it wouldn't even matter what happened over the weekend if they swept or not. They all would finish up with 85, and Arizona owns the tiebreaker over both. So they would be in if they win 85, I think they're in. If they win tonight, I think they're in. They win 2 out of 3, they're definitely in. That's the whole thing. And then you look at Miami and Chicago, and you say to yourself, Chicago has to sweep straight up this weekend. And they have to hope that the Marlins lose 1, but they really need the Marlins to lose 2. And, this is crazy, man. And the only way Arizona finds themselves out of this situation if they get swept this weekend and the Cubs wind up winning 2 out of 3, or the Marlins wind up winning 2 out of 3, they'll be out. Because then what happens is that no, they wouldn't be out. Both the Marlins and Cubs have to sweep this weekend. Only way that the Diamondbacks really do miss the playoffs is if they get swept this weekend. Okay. And that's something that possibly won't happen. But the Astros are in win now mode. The Astros cannot afford to say tomorrow's another day. No, they're not at that point right now. Losing to the Mariners earlier this week, that was key to everything right now because they kept the Mariners in the race. Mariners wind up sweeping this weekend. They have to really, really, really win this series because they will wind up almost being left out. And you don't want to see Houston get left out, especially after winning the World Series last year as well, too. But it's became a strong possibility all year long. So we'll see how it goes. And this is going to be a part of our late ticket. So tonight, what I'm going to do is I'm actually taking the Diamondbacks because they have the better pitcher tonight in Zach Gallen. So I'm going to take them with the minus 125 tonight. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. We have ourselves our final game to talk about, and that's going to be this. It's going to be the Rangers and the Mariners. The Rangers, I know I talked about it yesterday too. Rangers coming in here 89-70. You have a Mariners team that's 86-73. The Mariners find themselves now 3 games behind the Rangers, okay? And they find themselves a game behind Houston. And this is why I say they got to sweep for the rest of the weekend, because literally, figuratively, they are pretty much on the outside looking in. That's what's happening right now. And they have this big matchup. The Rangers right now, I think if the Rangers are to win this game tonight, they would go ahead and lock down the West title. So then that option is over with, okay? Because when I look at how the numbers are working right now, that would make them 90-70 after tonight. That would make the Mariners 86-74. And then you have Houston, who's 87-72. If they were to lose tonight, they would be 87-73. So that means that they can't catch them. So that means that they would be the champ, because 90-70, 162 games, it makes too much sense. Okay, so the Rangers can win this division tonight. So the pressure's on the Rangers tonight. Mariners know that they have a lot of odds against them. Nobody really wins 4-game series the final weekend of the season, especially to get into the playoffs. But this is the Mariners. They're at home, and the magic might arise. So tonight, the way that I'm looking at this one is, I say, let's look at the scoreboard tonight. That's what we're doing. We're going to play the scoreboard game tonight because Kikuchi, great pitcher. And then you got Evaldi, the vet, former world champion. He's on the mound for the Rangers. This is an epic matchup right here. So, and actually he's going to be Wu on the mound for the Mariners. Sorry about that. So pretty much these guys are going to pitch it up today. This is going to be a great game. I do have this one going under. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. And that's going to be that for our MLB final weekend. And I will have my series prices for you guys coming up on Talkin Tickets as well right now. So you guys stay tuned. And we got Talkin Tickets coming, man. My favorite subject, your favorite subject. Let's see where the money's at. All right. So with that, this is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the PrimeTime Angles, and I'll be back in a few.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash, and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right. All right, so here we are. We are at the final stretch, and I say that because we got Santa Anita starting today. You know that's my playground, and as Mike said, Pop might have been born at Santa Anita the way that he did, the way that he knows that place in and out. So yeah, man, it's gonna be great. I'll be there a few times out this meet as well too. I'm not gonna be missing as much. I'm gonna try to do my usual Friday thing over there as well too, and then also be ready. I'm thinking about bringing back horsing around at the end of the year, and so we can have it, consistent throughout the weekend. I just want to make sure that Santa Anita is still, it's 6-month meet and everything like that. But let's get down to the meat and potatoes of this show and get to the money, dog, and the WNBA playoff tonight. And I'm just like, dude, no offense to the ladies. I was one of the biggest supporters of the WNBA. I kind of lost interest in it after, the complaining and all the we need to get the same amount as the men and all this good stuff, all the stuff. And this is right after they finally had made some real headway in things. And it seems like they want everything at once. And I feel like it has to truly be earned by what you do at the box office, not about how social media likes you. You feel what I'm saying? But when it comes down to the game, I like the Liberty tonight to win against the Sun. Very tough game for them as well, too, because this is a series that is tied right now, and they're the road team tonight. And but I feel like the Liberty right now are the best team in the WNBA. They got the best player in the WNBA, and they got the best shooter in the WNBA, and they probably got the best post player in the WNBA as well, too. So I got them -3.5 tonight to win this game. Then we got the Wings +240 tonight to pull the upset off against the Aces. I know the Aces are tough, but we know that the Wings are at home. Their crowd is going to be loud and crazy and really pushing their girls towards this win. I really do like them to get the upset tonight with the 6-1. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. All right, we got ourselves the MLB Series Bets. Marlins -125, Blue Jays -175, Cubs -110, D-backs +105, and then we finish up with the Mariners. Yes, they started their series yesterday, but this is the updated line at -110. So it seems like I'm not going with any dogs this weekend, but I feel like these 5 will be your winners this weekend for my MLB Series Bet. So that would possibly mean that the Mariners make the playoffs, the D-backs make the playoffs, the Cubs make the playoffs, and one of these teams would be left out of the playoffs, the Marlins or the Blue Jays. But it looks like everybody wins this weekend, but who's going to get left out of the playoffs, though? That's the biggest question. So that's going to be our MLB Series Bets, and let's get into our MLB ticket for tonight. This is going to be an 80-1 ticket, okay? I know I looked right at it, but I didn't put it right here. So I will make sure to fix that when I put this out on Twitter. Now, this right here, as I said, we're going to take the Marlins -1.5 with the +140. Then we have the over 7.5 tonight with the Red Sox and the Orioles. And we have the under 8 with the Rays and the Blue Jays. And then we also have the Nats +120, +1.5. We have the Cubs money line -105. And then we finish up with our dog of the day, the Royals +125. All right, let's get to the late pick 4. The late pick 4 is 15-1 tonight. We got the Angels +140. We believe in Sisleth tonight. This is kind of a throwaway game against their old rival in the A's and everything like that. And it's gonna suck if the A's really have to move to Vegas and you'll have to see LA versus Las Vegas. Man, nothing's better than LA versus Oakland, man. Seriously. In any sport, in any dance competition, in any party situation, in any rival situation, it's always fun. Oakland versus LA. But only time will tell. We got the Diamondbacks tonight too with the money line -125 and Zach Gallen, we trust. Then the under 8 with the Rangers and Mariners in the series of the night, in the series of the weekend, in the game of the night. And then we have the over 8.5 with the Dodgers and the Giants tonight. And that's going to be a 15-1 ticket right there. All right, let's get to our college football Friday Night Lights pick 4. It's going to be 13-1 with the over 56 with Louisville and North Carolina State. You guys already know I'm on Louisville to win the game tonight. Then we also have Louisiana Tech money line -105, trying to get them a road conference win tonight in El Paso. We'll see how it goes. And then we have Utah and Oregon State in Beaverton tonight. It should be a very, very good game, and I think that it's going to work out very well. Actually, Corvallis. I'm sorry, I'm calling it Beaverton. It's Corvallis. I know that they're really close to each other, but the under 44.5 with Utah and Oregon State, and then we wrap it up with the boys from Utah, Brigham Young, -105 tonight in their opening home game for their Big 12 membership. You know what I mean? Their first game as a Big 12 member at home. So, and a Big 12 conference game. So pretty much with that, that's going to be a wrap on today's show. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in this week. And thank you guys very much for getting these views up as well, too. As you guys can see, you know, they're not up to the ESPN levels or anything yet, but we are getting the consistency that makes all this more merrier. You know what I mean? So I thank you guys very much for tuning in. And I want you guys to keep sharing, keep posting, keep retweeting. Every time you guys see a new video up that's a segment or something like that, and you like it a lot, share it with your friends. Share it with everybody. You know what I mean? So let's keep this movement moving. Let's get things right. Because you know what? If anybody deserves to be, you know, top of the chain, it's your boy. We've been here doing this for 8 years. So pretty much, let's keep it going. Let's do it the right way. All right. But much love to y'all. I really, truly appreciate everybody who's been supporting here for the last 2023, the whole 2023. Thank you so much. And you know what? As I always say, there is no me without you, and the movement is moving. Don't bet with your head. I mean, don't bet with your heart, bet with your head. And man, it is what it is. But as I always, as we always do, you know, we have to be at our very best when it comes to picking the right teams and picking the right situations and everything like that. And don't force your hand. Don't ever do that. So with that, that's going to be a wrap on the Premier Sports Betting Show, the Primetime Angles. And I will see you guys Monday. Enjoy your weekend. And I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.